Good. You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the program called Ignite Yourself, living life on your terms. It's our pleasure, as always, to have in the hot seat the boss of Ignite Yourself, Carol Reid. How you going, Carol?
Oh, I'm really good, Ken. What about yourself?
Oh, can't complain. No one listens to an old man like me anymore. Today we're going to talk about a subject which I guess we'd all like to be. We're talking about success. We all want to be successful, but before we get there, just remind our listeners, Ignite Yourself, what's it all about?
So, living life on your terms is all about living a liberated life, and what that means is really supporting you to find out what are your strengths and start working with those strengths and building them up, and really helping you to get out of your own way. And a bit of a guide on the side is what I call myself, Ken. I just unlock a few, natural things that are within you. And shine the light on those things and get you feeling a lot better than what you feel now.
And if we want to do that, how do we get hold of you?
So soulpreneurs.co.nz is my website, and you can call me on 021 774 058. If you want to make some shifts and changes in your life, and you know that currently at the moment you're not perhaps as fulfilled as you'd like to be.
Which is a great segue into success. I mean, what is success? How do you define it?
Well, it's quite interesting. Do you know that James Wattie said that work comes before success, comes after success becomes before work in the dictionary? That's the only place.
Yeah, that would be true, wouldn't it?
If you basically you've got to work to get to be successful. So, what does work look like? How does it form? What does success look like to people? Because is success, just being able to get up every morning? For some people, it is.
That's right. I mean, how do you define it? I mean, most people would think that you're talking about, hey, look, I'm the guy at the top of the tree, and that to some people is success, but is that what it really is all about, or how would you define it for the average person? Well,
for the average person, I'd say that it's one of those things that it's totally individual, and it's totally comes down to distilling down what's important, and happiness is a form of success. In fact, it was Albert Schweitzer that said success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. So if you love what you do, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
So it's often finding that love of what we want to do, and quite often that can be the conundrum. And I work with people, into their 50s who are only just coming to do what they want to do. They only just have distilled their life to this point that now we're starting to actually rock it and, do the stuff that we want to do. Previous to that, they were doing stuff for everybody else.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we become a success?
Well, I think it's defining what success means to you. So it's distilling that process down and recognising that it is different. I think one of the traps we get into is that we compare ourselves to others, and then all of a sudden we're no longer successful because, Ken, you're more successful than me, and I don't like that,
Yeah.
How can I? Now I'm unhappy because I'm comparing myself to Ken, and, I want to be like Ken.
Which is a natural instinct in some ways, though, isn't it?
It can be, yes, because we want to we're at that collective society, community society, so we look and do the comparison. But one of my things I say to everyone is comparison is the thief of joy, and it's one of those things that'll just snap you right back into not feeling great. So I think the first thing is to take stock and to really look around and recognise that you are, successful already because you're here.
Yep.
And then looking at, well, what is my path, moving forward from here? If I want to be happier, or if materialistic things aren't necessarily it.
No.
So it's kind of working out what is it that makes you tick, and we've got to distill that down. For some people, they've been on a path that they wish they could get off.
Do we have to be realistic about how we define success for ourselves?
Yes, I think so. How would you define success for you?
Well, I just had an occasion in a previous life. I used to be a salesman in the camera industry, and I loved it. And I considered it to be a profession. And I met someone who I'd known quite well for well over 30 years, and they yelled out across the street, "Geez, Morrison, you're still a shop assistant." And this was a person who was a well-connected person, but in another industry. He wasn't a doctor, but let's just say he was a doctor.
Yeah.
And I might suggest to you that if you've been a doctor for 30 years, people think that you were a success.
Yes.
But if you've been working in a store as a salesman, people perceive people working in stores to be shop assistants,
Yes.
then they're not successful. And I just thought to myself, it's funny that guy was there because, I'm a professional salesman. In my head, I'm a professional salesman.
Yes.
Just as he was a professional, whatever he was.
Yes.
And to me, there was no distinction between the two of us.
Yes.
I was a salesman, good at my job. He was a whatever, good at his job.
Yeah.
But he saw my job as a much lesser job than possibly his own. And I might suggest to you also that the average person might look at a doctor of 30 years as someone to aspire to, not someone who's been in the retail as a great salesman for the same amount of time. Would you think that would be a fair comment?
I do think that would be fair because, again, it's back down to that comparative, side of it, of ourselves. But what I talk to people about is what's unique about yourself and what is it that you can hone in on yourself that makes you feel successful. Because at the end of the day, if that guy's making you feel unsuccessful, you've given him permission to feel that way, right? Because you've actually decided that
sure.
you're going
You
to
didn't,
feel
by the way.
Good.
Because I was a great salesman.
Because you were actually happy in your own skin doing what you were doing. And this is the thing to
Although
understand.
you sort of demeaned it a little bit there, I think. You demeaned my position as a salesperson. Did you mean to do that?
No, you were saying that. I'm just going off what you're saying.
I wasn't demeaning it. I was saying
he was saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you almost agreed with him now. I thought,
Well, no. At the end of the day, you are what you think you are. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks. It matters what you think you are, and that's the whole basis of the stuff that I talk with people about. Is how do we unlock some of that stuff and that potential inside of you that you want to explore and that you want to enhance, essentially. So being a top salesman and you feel good about that, fantastic. The other parts of success are not just driven by that one part of your life.
Of course not.
So we might be really great as a salesman over here, but we've got a crappy relationship over here and terrible home life, So
Sure.
Is that success,
Well, in your own head it isn't, but you're judged by the outside, and from people looking at you from the outside think, wow, that person's a success. They don't know what goes on, so they automatically think you're a success because you've got a great job.
That's right. So the doctor that's been a doctor for 30 years, despite the fact he's had 3 relationships and, the children on drugs and, he's a success as a doctor.
Absolutely.
So it's actually kind of, distilling it down, as I say, and really looking at those areas of your life, because the stuff that I work with, we work with 5 areas of your life. It's just a way to chunk down your life. But essentially we would go through and look through those 5 areas: your health and well-being, your essence and spirituality, your livelihood and lifestyle, looking at your family and relationships, looking at all those areas and where are we feeling good and where are we not feeling so good and what can we do to make some of those changes.
Yeah.
But I thought it's quite interesting. The dictionary looks at success as the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose, a performance or achievement that is marked by success, the attainment of wealth and honours and that sort of thing, position,
Sure.
so we're talking about the doctor again,
Absolutely.
And attainment of goals. But I think one of the crucial things about success is goal setting, and I don't particularly like the word goal. I don't know, I've just got a thing with it. I don't know why, but I like the word intention, and it can be, just as simple as in the morning getting up and deciding that you're going to intend to do da-da-da-da, and I would say 3 things to go towards your goals or your successes. So it's an interesting one around goal setting and stuff like that. And should we all have goals? That's your next question, isn't it, Ken? I can see it coming out your mouth.
Because what I was just thinking while you were saying that, I mean, let's just wind it back to say our family life. Let's say we've got a great relationship. We love our kids. We have fun with our kids with every opportunity that we can. We're happy in our job, which say might be even collecting the trolleys at a supermarket.
Absolutely.
And in the eyes of our kids, we're a great dad.
Yeah.
We're successful to them. They look up to us, and that's successful, isn't it?
Absolutely, no question.
So,
absolutely.
Someone looking.
So you wouldn't need me then if you if you have at the end of the day, that's what I say. It's not about measuring your success against others or by what someone thinks you should be doing. It's actually more around how do you feel as a success or or not in your life, and you know, do you want to address it? Do you want to do something about it, or are you happy with where you're at? You know, and if you're happy with where you're at, then you don't need to do something. But my challenge to the listeners today is to get them to think, you know, where am I at, and am I actually feeling as successful as I want to be at this stage in my life? And is there a way I can make some changes? And shall I ring Carol and find out how I do that?
Yeah, if they want to ring you, what's your phone number?
021 774 058, or email me, carol@soulpreneurs.co.nz. And I just had another little acronym for success here, which I think is kind of fun. So success, S, see your goals. U, understand the obstacles and what it takes. This is something I make up. C, create a positive mental image. So that's an interesting one too, because creating that positive mental image is quite powerful. It's one of the most powerful things. As I say, I've talked about before, I am is one of the most powerful things you can say. So if I am an idiot, then that's what we're going to be.
Yeah, that's right, exactly, yeah.
But if I am tremendously successful, guess what? Things are going to start to come right.
Your way.
So that's the C. And the other C is calm your mind of self-doubt. So just getting that, you know, that little monkey off your back, that whole kind of, I can't do it, it's too hard. What will people think of me? That's a big one.
Yeah.
You know, don't worry about what other people think.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
They're not going to care when you're not here. They're not going to care,
that's
you know.
right.
And people are going to really want to know how you made them feel when you're alive, because that's what they're going to remember when you go to your grave, you know. So how are you making people feel, and how are you feeling yourself? Because it starts from in here. And then E, part of success is embrace the challenges, embrace the stuff that perhaps is, you know, getting in the way. So sometimes those challenges, you know, we can build them up to be bigger than what they are.
Yep.
And asking for help is always okay. It's always okay to ask for help. And stick to your vision is the S. Stick to what you want to get out. You know, when you're a kid, you know, if you wanted to be a fireman, Ken, you can still be a fireman, mate.
Fireman, that's right. But ageism might creep in there.
Oh, come on. I could get you a ride on an engine.
You know Stuart Nash, do you?
Yeah, I do. And the other S is star in your own movie.
Yeah.
So if you think of the world as a stage, you know, or you think of your life as, you know, you're creating your own playwritten screen, you can star in your own movie. So quite often what happens is we star to the side. We sit on the side, you know, we let other people take a starring role in our life. Now, how about we just get out there and be the star ourselves? And, you know, I was talking to you earlier about the ladies in Venus, and I can see them coming and, you know, starring in their own lives by getting out of the way and themselves out of the way and really getting involved in the stuff that they want to achieve and do. And that's how I help people, is really get you out of your own way, I guess.
Yeah. So I wonder, someone like yourself, you're professional in your field, your job is to motivate people to make them more successful.
Yeah.
But like we spoke about a bit earlier, to me, success and happiness go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, someone who aspires to be a CEO, they would define success as maybe something different to that.
Yeah, possibly because they've, as you've said, they've risen to the height of achievement in terms of what they had set out for themselves. If they'd set out to be a CEO and they've you know attained that goal, the most important thing with attaining goals is that you reset before you reach the goal. So that's actually a real key one. And I see this with clients as well, is that they reach the goal and then they're like, is this how I'm supposed to feel now?
Yeah.
And this is where, with desire mapping, with the stuff that I do around core desired feelings, we start back here, how we want to feel, then we go for the goal, not go for the goal and hope we're going to feel that way when we're there. But the CEO who's reached the top of his or her ladder may look at other areas of their lives that, you know, they may have neglected to get there, because that's the other thing as well. Again, how balanced is the other relationships in their lives, you know?
I wonder, when you're setting goals and you want to be a success in your life, I mean, you know, everyone might want to be the Prime Minister, perish the thought, but not everyone's going to be the Prime Minister.
No.
So, you know, you say, okay, well, we often say, well, you can do what you want to do, you can be what you want to be. We might all want to be doctors because, you know, you have plenty of money.
Helping people,
that sort of stuff, but we're not all going to be doctors. So
no.
Can we put a lot of pressure on ourselves by trying to set a goal, you know, and you're big on goals? Why do we need to set goals?
Well, it's that motivation. It's that whole kind of thing that sits around purpose. And without goals, we can feel with no purpose, we can feel purposeless. We can feel like we really have nothing to give. And every single person on this planet has something to give. There's something unique about every single person, because none of us are the same. We're similar, but we're not the same. So that uniqueness, and that's sort of what I do too, is if people are struggling with that purpose, or they're struggling with what makes them unique, I can work through a process with them and just uncover some of that. And perhaps some of it's honestly just a little bit below the surface, and then you just shine a little light on it, and there's an aha moment that happens for people, and they just like, oh, that's what I need to be doing. That's where I need to be heading now. And don't forget that things change, purposes change. So sometimes, you might have wanted to be a fire engine man, looking after things when you were 5 or 6. But actually now you'd like to be in another sector that helps people. But still it's the same end, you're wanting to help people.
I wonder, in your experience also, you probably got a good answer for this one. Possibly, in my opinion, 90% of the population would just be happy just to cruise along. They get up, they go to work, they have a bit of a laugh with their buddies at work, they come home, they've got a family, mum and the kids love to see them coming through the door. They're happy with that.
Yes.
The 10% who are the movers and the shakers, they're not happy with that. They are what we might deem to be the successful people, but in our own right, the other 90% are successful in their own head, perhaps. But is that what you find? That the average person, they're not interested in what you were talking about?
Yeah, well, the average person's starting to wake up a bit, actually. It's quite interesting around the globe. There's a bit more of a conscious movement around leadership and understanding, because we're more connected now than we've ever been, and there's more information.
You're talking about millennials now, though?
But also even my generation especially is coming through and really finding that, we can access more stuff online than we ever have. We don't need to, one stage we had to go to university to learn half the things that we can learn online now. And with our thirst for knowledge is increasing because more of it's there. And so to a point actually where we're getting overwhelmed with too much knowledge.
Yeah,
so we've got to watch some of that, just making sure we're disconnecting from, this kind of thing we were on. Not that I'm saying you should watch this, but then go and have a rest. But, we've just got to be careful with that amount of time that we do spend on screens, that we do spend looking at stuff. But essentially that other 90% is starting to actually want to know more, and taking a bit more of a lead role and understanding that the next generation is pushing them to find out. So they want to sort of keep up with their own children and, their grandchildren and things like that.
Yeah. I wonder, though...
Do you think it's to the detriment?
Well, yeah, not maybe to the detriment, but, when you just look around yourself and you look at technology, for instance, I see before I depart this mortal coil that we're going to lose thousands of jobs to technology. And they say, well, IT is going to come along and it's going to take care of all that. We'll all be working in IT with computers. I don't believe that, because I believe that artificial intelligence will be looking after future technologies. So are millennials nervous about that? I mean, someone like yourself, for instance, I've got probably 15 to 20 years on you.
Yeah.
Are you nervous about your future, and that's why you're striving more than I might?
Yeah, there could be some ideas around that, because we are aware that our children are learning differently, and even coming into the school system's changing to keep up with the demand of what they will need to know. For instance, I was talking to my daughter's teacher just the other day, and things like truck drivers in the States now have automated truck driving.
Yeah.
Guys that they don't need someone.
They don't need to drive.
Yeah, they have them currently sitting in the cabs, but actually they don't need to be driving. The computer's driving everything.
Those jobs are going to go.
And so some of that sort of process stuff will go, but that doesn't mean there's not room for other things to come in, because as with anything, we've seen it over the years, we've seen it over the decades. Of industrial change, all that sort of stuff. Now we're in a technology age. We are going to need. Look, we're going to be probably flying to the Mars and the moon or whatever before we, but by the time I'm,
My
70
age.
or 80 even, that's probably what's going to be happening. And we look at how far we've come in our phones. We've got information right at our fingertips now.
I wonder if it's a good thing, though. We sit at home and we don't even need to go out shopping. We don't need to leave the house anymore.
But I think that need for connection will always be there because we, as we've talked about before, we're a community of we're a species that needs to connect. We actually need to have that physical touch to actually feel the feelings that we want to feel. So we're going to always need to do that in some way.
I wonder, though, would you term technology as being a success for the human race? I mean, when you go shopping now, you don't even need to go through the checkout.
Yeah.
You go and serve yourself. You don't need to talk to anyone. No one says, "G'day, how's your day been?" Is that a success?
That connection side of
Yeah.
it, we definitely need to keep working on, and that's part of the stuff I do with people as well. Is it's just that whole consciousness around how are we connecting, how are we interacting with others, are we being kind, are we being compassionate, or are we allowing the technology to get in the way of our success to be a success in the eyes of everything. I've got another wee good saying here that we can wrap up on. I couldn't wait for success, so I went ahead without it.
Yeah. And that's great, isn't it?
I love that.
Well,
Yeah.
and also, success doesn't come to you.
No, so that's what I started with.
Yes,
Sir James
that's
Wattie,
right. Yeah.
started and said that success, the only time that success comes before work is in the dictionary.
Do you ever meet someone, if I came to you and said, look, I just feel something's been lacking in my life. Here I am, almost got my gold card, and I just want to be successful at something. Help me out.
Yeah.
Would you ever say, look, nothing wrong with what you've been doing. Just do more of it.
Ken, I want to tell you, there's nothing wrong with what you've been doing. But I'd always be here for you, Ken.
That's right. But
I'd love to help anyone. If anyone identified anything like that, we could certainly go down the path and have a look at it. But I'd also bring in, and I do this with my clients regularly, is give them a gratitude practice. So even if it's 3 things every day, what am I happy for or what am I grateful for?
Sure.
And we do that with our children, sit around the table each night and
Yeah.
the girls take forever. It's only 3 things.
I'm not again. Jeez, man. But yeah, we should look at our lives and say, what are we thankful for?
Yeah, because what we concentrate on grows. So if we can really look at and be thankful and grateful for the success we currently have,
Yep.
It doesn't mean that we sit in that place and don't do anything more. It just means that we say, hey, I am grateful for where I'm at. I'm celebrating the successes that I've achieved, because that's the other thing we can tend to do, is we can get on that go and
Yep.
not actually recognise all the stuff we've done previously, and just celebrating some of those wins and sharing them with other people. Even if it's a minor thing. Hey, I got out of bed today. Awesome.
Exactly.
Good
on you, Carol. Just before we head off, just remind our listeners, we want to come and see you to be ignited. How do we do that?
You give me a call on 021 774058, or you email me, Carol, at soulpreneurs, soulpreneurs.co.nz. I will be gladly here to serve. That's what it's all about. Thanks for having me, Ken.
As always, our pleasure. Look after yourself. Talk to the same time, same place next time.